What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. So week 15 is officially in the rearview mirror. As accustomed, now that we are getting down the stretch into the final stretch of the season, we had a lot of impacts on the playoff pictures. We had our first two teams officially punch their ticket to the playoffs. And the elephant in the room, we had a very significant elimination this weekend, which we will get into that a little later, and we have a lot of games to talk about. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off on Thursday night, we had the Atlanta Falcons taking down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 29-28, and this was a game on Thursday night that the two teams just were not really interested in playing defense or really any clutch defense at that. As for Atlanta, the Falcons specifically were also not interested in obeying the NFL rulebook either. They had 19 penalties on the night, good lord, and they still found a way to win, which is crazy. It's something about teams getting near penalty records and somehow still beating the Buccaneers in Tampa. It's just something that happens time and time again. And this is exactly why I tell people to look out for these late season divisional matchups, because the Falcons came to play to potentially ruin the Bucs' playoff hopes. As for Tampa Bay, you had the two bottom feeders in your division at home 2 weeks in a row, and it was back-to-back losses. Like, my God, what are we doing down in Tampa? And really, you're lucky you play in the NFC South, because any other division, you'd be dead in the water a long time ago. And really, playoffs or not, I can attribute this mostly to coaching, which, speak of the devil, Todd Bowles completely threw his team under the bus at the post-game presser for this game, saying his team, quote, doesn't effing care enough, which, like, I don't disagree with how the Bucs have been playing the past couple of weeks, but whose job is it to get them there, Todd? Playoffs or not, changes are going to be made in Tampa. Again, regardless of if they make the playoffs or not, because clearly there is one weak link here, and its name is Todd Bowles. Then on the Sunday, we had the LA Chargers taking down the Kansas City Chiefs 16-13. And this was it. This loss by the Chiefs, combined with some other results that happened on Sunday, has mathematically and officially eliminated the Kansas City Chiefs from playoff contention. That's it. That was the final blow. The dynasty is now dead, and it was a very slow and painful death. This was a very defensive-heavy and really defensive slugfest on Sunday. As for LA, you went into a hostile environment to try and keep pace in both the AFC West and the AFC wildcard with everyone that seemed to continue to win and win, yourselves included, and you did so. But despite the win, I'm still worried about this offense, especially with the state the O-line is in. I'm really not sure how the Chargers would hold up in a potential playoff matchup against maybe the Steelers, Texans, or Broncos pass rush. As for Kansas City, it's like I said, that's it, and it didn't really end on a bang, more on a whimper for him. And Mahomes is done. He unfortunately tore his ACL, and of course, wish nothing but the best for him. It always sucks seeing injuries like that to really anyone, let alone a superstar like Mahomes. But shifting back to the football perspective, if I'm the Chiefs GM, there's a lot of work to do this year. There's a reason they're 6-8 and eliminated before Christmas, so there's a lot of reconstruction on this roster to do. My highest priority, if I was the Chiefs GM, would be the run game. Like, the way I see it, the competition up north in Buffalo has shown that you can get by with some average receivers and still get pretty far in the playoffs if you have a really good run game. Obviously, they have James Cook, and they are doing just fine. So maybe, revisit the Breece Hall trade, but regardless, that run game has to be the top priority, and maybe pass catchers is secondary to that. But again, a lot of work to do in Kansas City this offseason. And continuing through the 1 o'clock slate, we had the Buffalo Bills taking down the New England Patriots 35-31. And this game was a tale of two halves. One half was a display of what got the Patriots to this point, and the other was a display of the same for the Bills. As for Buffalo, a loss would mean for sure no division title. It was looking fairly unlikely heading into this game, but this would have sealed it. So obviously a massive win for them here. And the experience that Buffalo has in big games like this one late in the season and all those playoff games they've played really showed and played to their advantage, especially when they went down 24-7. They did not panic at all, and obviously they were able to get the huge comeback win. However, the Bills' run defense remains the bane of their existence, and it can and will be their downfall. You can mark my words there. As for New England, I'm sure that, as accustomed, in Boston, this loss is the end of the world. It's the season's over. It's time to sell all the stock you've had, but it really isn't. Look, you still got a 1-game lead on your division with 3 games to go. You still control your own destiny there, and you're still very much in the hunt for the 1 seed in the AFC. And yeah, you got a tough one on Sunday night in Baltimore. I will definitely acknowledge that, but it's absolutely a winnable one, so it's not the end of the world in New England. All right, now it's time for my favorite part of the video. Moving to the 4 o'clock window, we had the Denver Broncos taking down down the Green Bay Packers by a score of 34-26. And this was absolutely the heavyweight tilt that we were promised. This was one of the better games that, in my opinion, that has been played all year. And this result has had some major impacts on the playoff picture in both conferences. As for Denver, is this win good enough? Is the 11-game win streak good enough for you? Are the Broncos finally contenders? What else do we have to do? But real talk though, Bo Nix showed why he is that guy. He had 302 yards and 4 touchdowns on the day. And the defense got punched in the mouth in the first half, gave up more points than they're used to, and also at the beginning of the third quarter. But they really buckled down and flexed their muscles after the Josh Jacobs touchdown. They shut down the Packers offense. They were finally able to get home on Love on a consistent basis. They really had a great day. Again, after that Jacobs touchdown. And as we shift to the big picture, Denver is in full control of their own destiny. They have a 2-game lead on the division and a 1-game lead on the 1 seed, with the tiebreaker over the Patriots, who are the team chasing them right now, with 3 games to go. The ball is fully in Denver's court, and they can fully dictate where they are going to end up at the end of the year. As for Green Bay, I mean, losing to an 11-win team on the road usually isn't a huge deal, but it kind of is when it drops you from the number 2 to the number 7 seed. And the O-line throughout the game, it held up fine in the first half, but the dam really broke in the second half. Like I said, Denver was really able to get home on Jordan Love in the second half, which obviously is a little more important than when it happens in the first half. But unfortunately, the big story for the Packers coming out of this one is that Micah Parsons did, in fact, tear his ACL, and really hate seeing it. Wish him nothing but the best in recovery. But shifting over to the football perspective, it's a massive blow for the Packers defense. It's a massive blow for their pass rush, really for the piece that had been carrying the entire unit for the majority of the year for them. Then continuing through the 4 o'clock window, we had the LA Rams taking down the Detroit Lions 41-34. And this was by far one of the most entertaining games of the season. It was 2 contenders just absolutely going blow for blow. It was such a fun watch. As for LA, my main concern with them all year has been they really haven't been able to win shootouts. I've praised them a lot for complimentary football. Being asked to put up 35 plus has been a bit of a tall task, but they finally did it. They finally went blow for blow with a legit offense, and I now have enough faith in this Rams offense that they can and will pick up their defense if they're having an off game like this one, which I think that's a bit of a rarity. I don't think that will be a common occurrence just based on everything we've seen out of the Rams and specifically their defense throughout this entire season. As for Detroit, they looked like they kind of remembered they were contenders when the game kicked off, and then they kind of forgot again about midway through the third quarter. For Detroit, even if they somehow make the playoffs, which that itself is getting pretty slim, at this point, they aren't going anywhere with this defense. And I get that they're injured. I get that Brian Branch just went down last week. But they were playing this bad even before the injury started. Think all the way back to week 1 at Green Bay. They got shredded, and the defense has not really had a good game ever since. I think it's definitely something that needs to be addressed in the offseason if Detroit wants to go anywhere in the future. Then continuing through the 4 o'clock window, we had the New Orleans Saints pulling off another divisional upset. They beat the Carolina Panthers 20-17. And this was a game that could have only had playoff implications if one of the teams won. And obviously, we're sitting right here, and you see the Saints and Panthers logos on the screen. So that is what happened. As for New Orleans, I think Tyler Shuck has played his way into being the starter next year, which if I'm a Saints fan, if I'm the Saints front office, I'm honestly ecstatic about, because New Orleans is fully playing with house money at this point in the season. I think they're still going to get a good draft pick. Obviously, now they're at 4 wins. They probably played themselves out of that top 3 to 5, but I think they're still going to end up with a good draft pick because obviously Tyler Shuck might be pretty good, but the team isn't. So they're probably at the very most, I would say, win one more game this year. So you're still going to get a good draft pick. So, hey, maybe use it to snag a good weapon for Tyler Shuck. Who knows? But again, you're playing with house money, just pulled off 2 huge divisional wins, so I'm a Saints fan. I'm pretty happy with the way the team is going right now. As for Carolina, the 2025 Panthers roller coaster continues. My God. I don't know what to say because I'm shocked they found a way to lose this game when Atlanta just gift wrapped them the division lead on Thursday night, but I'm also not shocked because, again, this is the 2025 Carolina Panthers roller coaster, and they've got their biggest one next week against the Buccaneers. So, hey, tune in next week to see in their biggest game of the season which version of the Carolina Panthers we get. Then continuing through the 4 o'clock window, we had a busy one. We had the Seattle Seahawks taking down the Indianapolis Colts by a score of 18-16. And this was not at all the blowout I think pretty much everyone, myself included, expected. The Colts put up a fight, and the Seahawks were definitely looking ahead to their game against the Rams on Thursday. As for Seattle, like I said, they were looking ahead to their game on Thursday, and they came dangerously close to falling into the trap game. Flat out, for Seattle, this is a bad win, because I can't even say that you can hang your hat on the defense playing well, because the other team's quarterback was playing his first game in 5 years. Allowing 16 points is the expectation, and it better have been worth it looking ahead to the Rams game, because a performance like that on Thursday will have that game over by halftime. I mean, hey, worst 11-3 team in my book. Sam Darnold is a draft bust. They should draft a new quarterback and completely blow it up. Hey, am I doing this right? Is this valid? Yeah, no, it doesn't feel good, guys, does it? Yeah, get your shit together. As for Indianapolis, hey, all things considered, nothing but respect for that performance they put up on Sunday. And the entire team, that's Phillip Rivers and the defense alike. I don't think the defense is getting enough flowers for how well they played on Sunday, so I'll definitely give them those flowers. I get it. It's a really tough way to have the season likely be over. And I want to say that you'll be back next year, but I just can't, honestly, with how Daniel Jones was performing before he went down. I'm just really not sure. I think there's a lot of uncertainty in Indianapolis, so unfortunately I can't really give those sentiments right now, even though I really want to. Then on Sunday night, we had the Minnesota Vikings taking down the Dallas Cowboys 34-26. And surprise, surprise, once again, the Sunday night game that we all thought was going to be a stinker actually turned out to be a pretty good one. As for Minnesota, I think this is who 9 is supposed to be. I think this is kind of the guy that he talked about in that presser. He looked so damn good on Sunday night. And now that he's gotten more games in, he looks a lot more comfortable. And I think that if he didn't get hurt, he would have looked like this a lot earlier, maybe like before Thanksgiving. Which personally, if I'm a Vikings fan, that's both encouraging for next year and going forward, but it's also frustrating because it kind of makes me feel like kind of wasted this year waiting on JJ to develop and get his feet wet, but he got hurt after 2 games and had to miss a chunk of time, so that got delayed. So like, I absolutely see both sides there. I get the elation of Vikings fans, but I also get the frustration. As for Dallas, it's really a loss you could not afford, but obviously it's one that happened. He had a mini bye and he had a struggling opponent at home, so it's just a really tough one to drop. And that's likely a wrap for the Cowboys. That's probably it for any playoff hopes. So I think now that they're probably shifting into offseason mode within the near future, I think they have to finally stop kicking the can down the road and they have to address that defense. I gave them their flowers a couple weeks ago, but obviously that hasn't been sustainable and the cracks have re-shown in a lot of ways, and it's cost them some games. So I do think that the focus all off season needs to be on the defense, and frankly, if that means letting Pickens walk, then I think that's just the way it has to be. And then on Monday night, we had the Pittsburgh Steelers taking down the Miami Dolphins by a score of 28-15. And this is really not at all the playoff style, the desperation football I was expecting. It was one-sided almost all night. That score is a little misleading. The Dolphins got some garbage time points. It was pretty much all Pittsburgh all night. As for Pittsburgh, considering Baltimore's win on Sunday, it was pretty important to get a win here against the Dolphins, and they did so in pretty convincing fashion. They finally played a complete game. The offense moved the ball pretty efficiently. The defense shut down the Dolphins' offense pretty well. They got home onto it quite a bit, and they ended up maintaining that one-game lead that they had on the AFC North with now 3 games to go, and it's really important to hold on to that lead since the season finale is against those same Baltimore Ravens in Week 18. So good win, important win here for the Steelers. As for Miami, with the loss, the Dolphins have now officially been eliminated from playoff contention. I would say hats off for even climbing back into it at this point of the season, considering how bad they started. But I can't even really do that with how bad they played on Monday night. They just really got outclassed in every fashion. Now that they're mathematically eliminated and there will be no playoff football once again in Miami, I think it's time. I think it is time to give Tua the Russell Wilson treatment. I get that there's a lot of guaranteed money in that deal, but it's just time. He's not the guy. You're not going anywhere with him. You really should cut your losses sooner rather than later. I really think that they should do it. I don't know if they will do it, though. It's a matter of if the Dolphins front office actually, has the guts to do it. And then before we look ahead to week 16, let's grab a quick look at the playoff picture. First up in the AFC, as mentioned before, the Denver Broncos were one of the first 2 teams this past weekend to punch their ticket to the playoffs, and they remain in the 1 seed. Everything else in the AFC remains the same as far as the actual playoff picture. The Patriots are in the 2, Jags are in the 3, Steelers are in the 4, and then we've got the Chargers in the 5, the Bills in the 6, and the Texans in the 7. As far as our in the hunt teams, we've already narrowed it down to 8 teams competing for 6 playoff spots with some eliminations over the weekend. Our 2 teams in the hunt right now are the Indianapolis Colts and Baltimore Ravens. And then shifting over to the NFC, the Rams were the other of 2 that punched their ticket to the playoffs, and they remain in the 1 seed. Then we did have some shakeup after that. The Bears are back into the 2 seed, and then the Eagles remain at the 3, and the Bucks remain at the 4. The Seahawks remain at the 5, the 49ers remain at the 6, and the Packers drop down to the 7 seed. And then our 3 in the hunt teams, as usual, remain the same. It's just the order's a little different this week. That order is the Lions, Panthers, and Cowboys. And then looking ahead to week 16, we've got a very loaded slate, a very spread out slate now that college football is just about over and done with. The NFL has moved into playing some Saturday games, but it all starts on Thursday as we've got a massive one. We've got the LA Rams traveling to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. And this could very well be the NFC West title. These 2 teams are tied right now. Obviously, the Rams took the first matchup, so they are in the lead right now. If Seattle pulls it together and puts up a much better performance than they did this past Sunday, I think we're in for some fireworks, and I think we're in for a very good game. Then as we move to Saturday, we've actually got 2 games this Saturday. First up, we've got the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Washington to take on the Commanders. And this is a national TV matchup that has unfortunately lost all of its luster. The Commanders just shut down Jaden Daniels for the rest of the season, and the Eagles are in the middle of what appears to be their biannual collapse. Fun. But our other one on Saturday is a massive one and should be much better. It is the Green Bay Packers traveling to Chicago to renew their rivalry with the Chicago Bears. And you don't need me to tell you that this is a massive one in the NFC North. Whoever wins this game, much like their matchup earlier in the season, will dictate who has control of the NFC North after this week. And it's also 2 teams that should be pretty familiar with what the other wants to do, considering that they literally just played each other 2 weeks ago, so it should be a lot of fun. Then as we move into Sunday, first up in the 1 o'clock slate, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to Carolina to take on the Panthers. And despite these 2 teams' best efforts, these are the 2 co-leaders of the NFC South right now, believe it or not. And this is matchup 1 of 2 in both of their final 3 games. So this one, along with their matchup in the season finale in Week 18, will go a long way towards determining which one of these teams gets a playoff game. So it should be interesting to see that whoever wins this game, or I think better wording here would be whoever doesn't lose this game, will have control of the NFC South after this week. Then continuing through the 1 o'clock slate, we've got the LA Chargers traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. And the Cowboys are essentially in elimination mode. 1 more loss would likely do it to their very slim playoff chances at this point. Now on the other side, for the Chargers, a loss combined with the Broncos win this week would clinch the West for the Broncos, and the Chargers would lose out on that chance. So 2 teams that really cannot lose a game here, and a game that should be a pretty fun one between 2 desperate teams that, again, cannot lose this game. Then as we move into the 4 o'clock window, our big one of the late window resides in the Rockies. We've got the Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to Denver to take on the Broncos. I will be in attendance for this one. I am super stoked to go to this game. It should be a very fun game because on one side, we've got the Jaguars who are humming on offense. They are really firing on all cylinders at this point, but obviously this is going to be their biggest test yet. On the other side, they've got the hottest team in football and the best team in football at a 12-2 record in the Denver Broncos. It should be a lot of fun, and again, super stoked to be going to this one. Then continuing through the 4 o'clock window, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Detroit to take on the Lions. And for one team, the Lions, for sure, they cannot lose another game. One more would likely do it with how competitive the wild card is this year. And the Steelers probably can't. They've got the Ravens hot on their trail for the division lead, so much like a lot of games this week, it's 2 teams that really cannot lose this one and should be a lot of fun and should be a lot of desperation football. Then on Sunday night, we've got the New England Patriots traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. And it's a common theme this week. We've got 2 teams that really cannot afford to lose this one, but for 2 drastically different reasons in this one. The Patriots have their eyes set on the 1 seed and are behind the 8 ball on that right now. And 1 more loss combined with some other results this week could really put that in jeopardy. While the Ravens, they just need to keep playing catch-up and keep pace with the Steelers before they play each other again in Week 18. 1 more loss would really put Baltimore's playoff chances in jeopardy. And for the Patriots, who knows, a loss combined with maybe a Bills win this week, that could open the door for the division for the Bills. So both teams really need to win this one. Should be a pretty fun game. Then on Monday night, we've got the San Francisco 49ers traveling to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. And I really hope Phillip Rivers enjoyed that Seattle defense in his return, because now he gets to go up against the 49ers defense. Yeah, no, poor guy. A loss, and let's be honest, a pretty likely loss for Indy here, would likely seal their fate here as well, so they really can't afford to lose. While on the other half, the 49ers, with a win and some help, they could very much be back in play for the NFC West. So, who knows? Could be fun. I don't really know. I don't really know what to expect of the Colts at this point of the season. But that is it for me. If you have any thoughts on your own on this past week, the week ahead, feel free to drop them in the comments. Any thoughts on what I said this past week, the week ahead, feel free to also drop them in the comments. You like what you're seeing, feel free to like and subscribe. It is completely optional, but greatly appreciated. I do have some traveling going on, so I'm really not sure if I'm going to get the Week 16 video out before Christmas. In the case that I don't, I hope everyone has a very fun, wonderful, safe holiday season. Enjoy Week 16, and I'll see you in the next one.